Good morning, teacher friends. As promised, there will be three sections to my vlog. The first section today will be a story, and I will be sharing about my journey to teaching, how I got into teaching, and a little bit about my first job. The second part will be the tips. I will give you some tips. At last, I will share an interactive game that you can download and play with your kids. So, how I got into teaching, I've always loved working with kids, and I still do. That's pretty generic. I think you will hear that answer from a lot of people, a lot of teachers actually. My first experience with working with young children was when I was in 8th grade. I used to volunteer during my lunch hour. I would go to lunch, eat a quick lunch, and then I would go to volunteer and help work with kids with special needs. My first official job working as a teacher was when I was 16. And it's so funny to say that because a 16-year-old is a teacher. You can't even picture it. But it was at a daycare center and I needed the money. I actually dropped out of high school at 16. And I won't get into that. Maybe that's another topic for another video. But as a 16-year-old, I started working at this daycare center. I had a classroom of 2-year-olds. I had about 10 2-year-olds to myself. I didn't have any assistants. I had the keys to the daycare. I opened the daycare at 6 a.m. and I was there till closing time. I locked up at 6 p.m. I, washed dishes when there were dishes. I cleaned toilets when the toilets were dirty. I put the kids to nap, changed diapers. I potty trained. And I did it all with a smile and excitement and a love of teaching. And I truly, connected with the kids and bonded with them and just loved spending time with them. And I was so excited to be the teacher, to be a teacher at 16. I was not a real teacher. I didn't even have my high school degree, but I was playing that role and I was loving that role. However, here's the downside. I was making only about $4.75 an hour. Now, this was way back in the day. I'm kind of showing my age here. I'm 35. And was it 4.75 or 5.75? Here's how much I love that job and how crazy I was about it. I didn't have access to a photocopy machine, which is like any teacher's nightmare. I can tell you that now. And when I needed to make copies, I actually hand drew 10 copies. So if I wanted the kids to color the picture of the letter A, I would first draw a really nice outline of the A, and then I would put another paper over it and hand draw over it, going over the lines, and make 10 copies like that. I mean, I was bananas, but I didn't have any other responsibilities. I was a 16-year-old. I wasn't in school. Teaching was my only job. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I was, living at home with my mom. So I could spend time when I came home to make hand-drawn copies and really spend all my energy and time, which I had bundles of, with my 2-year-olds. But even though I was working like crazy, at the end of the day, when my paycheck came in, it was just not enough. It was not enough to pay for the bills. It was not enough to contribute for the household. So I decided at the end of the year, I worked there for exactly a year, and then I told my boss, I said, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to work here anymore. I just can't afford it. It's not paying the bills and etc. And her response to me was, I love you. I don't want to see you go. You're an amazing teacher. Everybody loves you here. You're just tired. All you need is 1 week of vacation. Take a week off, go home, rest, and when you come back, you're going to feel so much better. You don't have to quit. And she said that she was going to give me a raise. She offered to raise me a quarter. A quarter. I was like, are you serious? So if I was making $5.25, now I'm gonna make $5.50, or I can't remember exactly, but I remember she raised me a quarter, and I was like, no, thank you so much. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not gonna work here anymore. And then I quit, and I started working at hotels because in the hotel industry as a front desk. As a front desk clerk, they started me off, I think it was like $9 an hour, which was a huge jump from the $4.75, $5, I can't remember exactly, that I was making at the daycare center. So I pursued that job, and I really, really disliked it, and it really made me realize how much I loved teaching. But I stuck with it as long as I could, because it helped pay the bills. Now, while working here at the daycare center, I learned a lot of things. I'm not going to go into everything, but definitely I was being taken advantage of, right? I didn't know at the moment or when I first started because I was so excited about the job and I was so happy that I was able to find a full-time job because now I know that you can't even legally hire a 16-year-old as a full-time employee. Throughout my working experience, a lot of bosses are very good at taking advantage of you. They're very good at paying you little and expecting you to put 200% in. The majority of the bosses that I've had experiences with, you put in 200% and you don't get a whole lot back. And it's especially if you don't have your degree, if you don't look good on paper and you don't have your credentials, it's a lot easier for them to take advantage of you because they know you don't have a lot of options. They know you don't have anywhere else to go. So they like to prey and use people that way. So I'm going to start by telling you my tips. Don't let people take advantage of you. And this is something easier said than done. But you need to know your worth. You are worth more. And if I could go back and tell that to my 16-year-old self, I definitely would. Think about your own needs. Because if you don't, nobody else does. And when you know a work environment or a situation or even a relationship is not working out, it's not the best fit for you, walk away. Walk away and don't look back. When it comes to teaching, I think it comes with the job and the profession. We give so much of ourselves. And I think that in order to be a good teacher or even a great teacher, you do have to invest so much of your own time after you come home. But the only tip and advice I can give you is to do the best that you can. Draw a line. Let's say I'm going to say 6 p.m. is my cutoff. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I went to work early. I set up my classroom. I prepared my lesson plans. I, put my 100% in at school at work. I stayed after school. I came home. I did a little bit more work. And let's say I draw the line at 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., I've already put in 13 hours of preparing and thinking and planning and energy and excitement and everything into my job. I gave everything that I can. After that 12, 13-hour shift, you need to say, I am done. I did the best that I can within the hours that I had, and I am going to stop thinking about my work. I am now going to be a mom, a wife, a brother, a sister. If you're not married and you don't have kids, this is still important. This is your time to be a friend. It's your time to go out. It's your time to socialize. It's your time to take a break. If you can do that, you can last as a teacher and you will not be burned out. All right, so my tips for today as a summary. Don't let people take advantage of you. Know your worth. You are worth everything. Think about yourself and your needs because if you don't, nobody else does. Set a time, stick to it, and stop working. The freebie today is an interactive PowerPoint presentation. It helps young learners practice hearing number of words in a sentence with visual cues. If you are new to this channel, I would love for you to subscribe. This channel is all about connecting and supporting teachers because they change lives every day. Thanks for everything that you do. Happy teaching!